After a month based in Plymouth, it was time to head back the 161 miles, sailing single-handed to Instow on the North Devon coast. I'm Roy, and this is the story of owning and sailing my Moody 31 yacht, Mistress Q. Based at Instow on the North Devon coast, it is the highs and lows of cruising the Bristol Channel and beyond, where every passage is a new adventure. With the passage plan done, it was an early start from Plymouth Yacht Haven, outbound across Plymouth Sound through the Western Channel. At the same time, a Norwegian frigate with its police escort was inbound, encouraging me to keep well to starboard as I passed the breakwater. Out past Ramehead and into Whitsun Bay, heading west with 43 miles to Falmouth. As the sun warmed the morning air, it was time for breakfast, keeping clear of RFA Tidespring, manoeuvring for a crew transfer off Ramehead. With a gently south-westerly breeze, it was near Champagne sailing, averaging 5 knots and a direct heading for Falmouth, arriving in the mid-afternoon. Fortunately, there was plenty of space on the visitor pontoons for an overnight stay, with time for a shower and some shopping for these extra provisions before dinner at the Quayside Inn, and then a nightcap back on board before hitting the sack for an early night. Next morning I prepared for an early start under a stunning blue moon over Falmouth, as making the tidal gates around the Lizard and then Land's End was critical to the overall success of the passage back to the Bristol Channel. So, having left Falmouth at first light about 6:30 this morning, left Carrick Roads and now heading down towards the Lizard. We've got a very gentle 10, 11, now 13 knots of wind and making around 3.5 knots through the water against still a flooding tide. Hoping to pick up the ebb tide as we pass the Lizard to get a really good run down to Land's End. The good weather held and steady progress was made towards Longship's Light at Land's End, before turning north, sailing parallel to the traffic separation scheme back towards Padstow, taking advantage of the favourable tide for as long as I could. passage was 86 miles and took nearly 20 hours at an average speed of 4 knots. Punching the tide as I approached Padstow after midnight to anchor off Polzeth in the Camel Estuary, waiting for the tide to turn in the morning. After a rather rolly night, it was a relief to be sailing north again, with time for breakfast and another perfect day, with light winds pushing me towards Instow on the North Devon coast. Rounding Hartland Point after lunch, I had plenty of time to reach the Fairway Buoy off the Bideford Bar and the Torridge Estuary, joining a small fleet of cruisers waiting for sufficient water to cross the bar and get back to the moorings at North Devon Yacht Club. Home after a great adventure and keen to plan my next sailing trip. Join me again in episode 7. I will be tackling the winter jobs in the boat park before launching at Easter, ready for another sailing season with Mistress Q.